Alright guys, today we're going to be rebuilding a Polaris 700 Ranger motor. Everything's apart, most everything's clean, so we're going to be rebuilding it from the top, or from the bottom up here. So we've got our main bearings in, got the clearance checked on the crankshaft, did that before, just set the crankshaft in, close it down, put some plastic gauge on it, made sure it was in between 100 and 300 thousandths. About standard. So most of the time if you get a new crankshaft or you get a used crankshaft and you get the standard bearing kit, everything's going to work just fine. So these other bearings, we're just going to match up holes where we can on the tangs. Make it super simple. If you see on these where there's an oil hole that you can match it up. If not, it's okay. If you can match up old writing and stuff that's like in the case per se, match it up. It's not gonna hurt anything. But if it has an oil passage, you definitely need to try your best to line it up. And I just seat mine with a brass hammer, just like so. See how it's moving those bearings sideways? Just real light taps. It'll center itself. Alright, so everything's cleaned up. Everything's good to go. Crankshaft is clean. So we got a little bit of an oil film. Let's check these bearings. They get a little bit of junk on them. Stop it. Good. Good. Okay, I'm going to clean off any old silicone on this old crankshaft seal. And then we'll probably put some fresh on there when we go to put it in, just to give it a little bit more sealing power. Gotta have her sealed up. Seal, baby, seal. Disco Inferno. Normally it's the inside though that'll give out right there where that lip rides on that shaft, you know? But not always, but most of the time. So on the 800, these crankshafts are about identical. Only thing that's different is the eye size up top up here, where your connecting rod, or the top of your connecting rod, where your wrist pin goes through. And then your seal thickness seems to be different as well. What about the rain, guys? We're going to go ahead and slide that on. Real easy. Look at that lip, make sure the lip's good. Then we're going to slide this girl right down where she belongs. Right there. Double check. That's just a little bit of oil in there. Mosquitoes everywhere. I'll put a drop of oil on the crank, on the new counterbalance bushings we put in, a little bit there. We're just going to work that back and forth. We don't want those bearings to be dry for that counterbalance shaft. Nicely done. Alright, we're going to set everything in the top side of the case. Counterbalance, she looks nice and pretty. You can use assembly lube on this. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I don't really have a perfect preference. But if you have it, probably use it. You know. Not gonna hurt anything. Either way, it's nice and smooth. Crank, counterbalance. Got to make sure that you have your filter and this, it's like a splash guard, I guess, yeah. And then you're gonna put it together with some good old silicone. If you use your finger like I do, you want to make sure. I've already wiped down the surface with a rag with brake cleaner on it. I use brake cleaner for just about everything, literally everything. This side that doesn't move, I kind of lay it on a little bit thicker. Then I just put like a thin film on the other side over there. I have not seen a gasket actually for this. I believe it's all silicone. There are some gaskets for the timing cover. I don't really like to use them because it's not like a clearance issue like it is on, you know, diesels and different engines and things. And most of the time I'm going to put this on both sides of that gasket anyways, because I don't just trust a straight up gasket most of the time. So anyways, that's just me though. Do whatever floats your boat. This is what I've had success with, so that's what I'm going to keep using. And this, I've heard it is the same on the 600 motor. It's about the same as this. The like really old Polaris stuff. But the 700 and 800, the process we're going to be using is absolutely identical. The parts are a little bit different. I think it's only the crankshaft. I know the pistons are different. You know, the cylinder's different. But I think like the stroke and everything is the same. So, you know, do with that information what you will. I've heard of people converting them from a 700 to an 800 because 800 parts are cheaper. This is 2026, so a lot of people have moved on to newer stuff, but these are awesome machines in my opinion. I think that they do have lifter problems, so, you know, if you don't like to do maintenance, this is not going to be the machine for you. I want to get that off your crank if you get them on there. But if you change your oil, they're great motors. I have a friend who's built a lot of these, and every time didn't change the oil, or they literally never even changed, like looked at the filter, and the filter literally just vibrated off because it had been on there for like, you know, 7-8 years since it was new. It just never got changed, so nobody was watching it, paying attention to it, and eventually it just went downhill. That's what I use. Ultra Gray Permatex, can't go wrong. You know, it's the higher dollar stuff, but it's really good. I haven't had any leaks out of them, like ever, so knock on wood, right? Anyways, so we're ready to go back together with this. Also, spread it out with your finger. Don't just run a bead. That just gets everywhere, and on these motors you have like an oil passage right here, and it passes on the inside, on the edge of this counterbalance shaft and all. So don't just run a bead, especially around all these where these dowels and everything go. You're gonna get all over the crank journals, and it's just not gonna be good. So don't run a bead. Use good silicone. Don't put your cover on backwards. You'll be all right. Oh yeah. Like that. Just tap them. Let them sit. She's a big girl. You're not gonna hurt her. Okay. And I will pull them down with the torque wrench. So don't come after me. And then once this is done, we'll flip over to the other side, and we'll start getting the timing together. We'll do the top end last, and then very last the head. Like I said before, 22 foot-pounds is what we're looking for. 22 foot-pounds. I'm going to start around the crankshaft and work my way out. Just going to cross up as best I can. Now we're going to flip this thing over. Just watch out for your silicone that's kind of come out a little bit. Get these out of your way. I just used two. You can use just regular 2x4s if those are like 2x2s or something. Yeah, I think they're 2x2. Really nice and smooth is what we're looking for. We're going to put our camshaft in next, which I have a new one of. The old one had a war lifter that wore into the camshaft. Some on here. And you really just want to go around. And if you can get some oil in the case, that would be really good for you. Slide the camshaft in. It feels good. And then we're going to put our stop plate on. It only goes one way. Your beveled side goes up. So it can only go like this. That means it does go back in there. I'm not put it there. Like so. We have 3 countersunks holding it on. Use a little blue Loctite on them. Get them going. These did have Loctite on when they were coming out. Just a heads up. So, this is a Polaris engineer's decision, not mine. I need to turn it over where you can see what I'm doing. So, camshaft, counterbalance, crank, or hold plate, whatever you want to call it, keeper plate. Size. No, you're way too big. That's not it either, is it? That's the guy right there. So we're just gonna run these in real quick. Holy cow. Way too impatient. You guys remember I'm not torquing anything down with this thing. I normally put things together and then come back and torque it. Like on the flywheel and stuff like that. These are just good and hand tight. Don't go crazy with it. Don't go crazy. We're gonna just rub that right there. That'll actually help seal it off a little bit. Okay. That guy's in. now we can either, anyway, I think we need to put this guy on first. He's kind of being right now. So we're gonna grab him real quick. This thing is slippery as all get out. There we go. Don't forget your keeper key on that. Got mine here. Man, that is not in a good spot. I'm gonna pop that in. You definitely also don't want to drop that down on the engine bottom end down there. There we go. Couple of love taps got her going. Clean the gear off. This is also, check your threads because it has some old Loctite on it usually. But this is a Loctite bolt as well. I just use blue, medium strength Loctite. I never really use red. Always seems to come back to get me. Alright, so remember you got two to line up here on this guy. And you gotta have your camshaft out of the way. And come on, fella. That's what you're looking for right there. So, yeah, punch hole to punch mark lined up in the crankshaft. So your counterbalance is now in time with the crankshaft. Before we do anything else, we're going to take the bolts, put some Loctite on it, and we are going to go ahead and torque this down. Come on, baby. There we go. So we can pull it up correctly like it's supposed to be. Junk on there. .22 foot-pounds is the magic number. Once you get a little stuff on that, you just take your little screwdriver and put up in there. That way you can torque and the gears will bite the screwdriver. You can still torque what you need to torque. This is where you use your old third hand belly. There it is right there. Pull it out, you're good to go. Pretty simple. So we're good right now. Everything's good. I'll see. There we go. We just couldn't grab it. We're good and free. You should be able to grab it with your hand and move it back and forth. That's how it should feel. Now just to remind you, we got two timing dots right there. We have a timing dot here. We're gonna have to time this guy to this guy. But before we do that, we're gonna put this oil pump in. So on this guy, I bought a new oil pump because the old one had some deeper scratches in it. It probably would have been fine, but for like 80, 90 bucks, this is cheap insurance. Also remember, anytime you buy something like this, to wash it out thoroughly. There's no telling what kind of oil or whatever they use to ship it in. Because this is, of course, from overseas. Somewhere. China, Taiwan, I don't know. So give it a good bath. Once you've given it a good bath, you get this little guy to line up. There's another hump inside of there. You got 4 bolts that go through it. It's pretty simple. On this, I do like to use a little assembly lube inside down there, just a dot, just to get that thing kicked off, just in case you have a dry start for something. Just kind of kick it around a little bit, let it get in there and get to moving. You do need to prime these engines. We can actually prime it on the bench. It's really not bad to do. We'll do that before we finish, because it is another cheap version of insurance. Alright. We have no timing on this one. All we have is the teeth matching up. That's as far as it goes. Okay? Booyah. So we have timing mark, one timing mark, nothing on this guy. All we need to do now is roll the engine a little bit to where we can get our bolts in the oil pump, which are these guys here, 4 of them. Nice and clean. Once they're nice and clean, you're going to hit them with Loctite as well. You're probably going to have to look down in there and make sure it's lined up. These can be a pain to start if they're not lined up correctly. I think we're good enough. So we're going to slide one down in there. Maybe. Can't grab anything, dadgummit. That should work. This is a 5mm. Oh yeah, she's biting. Once you know one's biting, you can go ahead and stick the rest of them in there. They're all on the same piece, so if one works, the rest of them are going to work. Unless it's stripped or something along those lines. This is strictly just to run it in. No torque on this at all. These are also like 7 to 9 foot-pounds, so they're just a hand tight bolt. And these are smaller than 1/4 inch, so they don't need much. And that is also why we have the Loctite on there, just to be on the safe side of things. So, need to come back around. Right there, lined up. There's our dot. Oil pump's in. So I'm not using the standard pressure relief valve. I'm going to stick this in because it just crossed my mind. This is my pressure relief valve. I'm just going to drop a little bit of oil in here. As the pump's in now. I'm going to stick this in. These things have a bad habit of locking that in there. Sorry guys, I should have done this. This does have a sealing washer with the old bolt. See, so if it gets stuck, you can just grab that bad boy. You can feel, and it's got a little resistance on it. You don't want that. And as soon as it, once it gets oiled up, you're good. But one little piece of trash, say you don't change your oil for a while, or you get something in it, or you get water in your oil and it loses its viscosity or something, or somebody puts the wrong oil in it, or blah blah blah, on and on and on, right? That little piston in there normally doesn't have this rod on it. See, now we're good. Pretty simple, moving good. That's going to regulate your oil pressure right there. The more it goes up, the more oil pressure. The more it stays down, the less oil pressure. You can move it up and down. Still wish it was smoother, but it shall be okay. And now you can also, reach it externally, which is a really big deal because you have to split the cases to get inside behind this oil pump. Well, I guess you don't have to split the cases, but you gotta get inside the oil pump here to get to that thing. And a lot of times you do have to split it to get it out, actually. And that's not cool, just for an oil pressure issue, that's a lot of work. So let's get the camshaft gear on. Remember to remove all your old, I don't know what it is, it's like yellow. I guess it's some kind of Loctite, some kind of proprietary blend or something, or maybe just something I don't know about. I don't know them all. I know red, I know blue. Most of the time I'm using blue. Red has bit me in the butt a couple times. So this is a double side, 2 cam gear. It's a spring loaded cam gear. It's got to go that way. So the way that I like to do is I pull the bolt out. You got a key right here that's got to line up with that key. This is how we get this thing in time. I know that this dot has got to go down. So what I'll do is, so I'll see that this has got to go this way. So that is the mark I got to line up on. So I'll line that mark up on there, then I'll look behind and say, okay, I need to rotate this to what, 9 o'clock, something like that. I'll lay it back on there, right there, so I know that whenever I rotate this around counterclockwise, it'll lock in and drop in. And then I want my mark to line up on the back, like so, like it just fell in. But right now, this front piece is not lined up. It needs to come over so it can go all the way on. Instead of making it complicated, I just grab a Phillips head screwdriver or something so close, and I just pry and push at the same time. You just pry a little bit and push. Most of the time it works. So, stay on there. Just like so. Pry over, tap it on. That's all there is to it. You got clearance on this gear, it rides on this gear. So now we got a dot, and a dot lined up. And I'm lined up on the crankshaft because it's keyed. And that key doesn't come out of that camshaft, it stays on it. So now, got my bolt. Got my old medium Loctite here. This washer concaves towards camshaft. Just gonna run it up, try to keep it centered as best you can. Now remember, since you're going the opposite way, you're gonna have to stick your screwdriver in opposite for this to torque. So, see how it's gonna go the other way now? So now I gotta put my screwdriver at the top. You gotta get your belly torque wrench out again. There it is right there. So we're good to go. We're torqued 22 foot-pounds for that bolt. 22 for this guy, and the case bolts on the bottom. So good, easy to remember, not hard. Alright, so we're all in time here. We got our key, in there, gear. She's timed up, got this guy in. We got we got some motion now, you know what I mean? We're good to go. She's gonna be riding smooth before long. Alright, so next thing we need to do is we can go ahead and put this timing cover on. To do that, we're gonna grab the cover. So we got our timing cover here, it's a little dirty. Get this little bit out of here. The rest of that's pretty daggum clean. That little bit right there I don't like. You guys, take your time on this. Clean the, most of the time engines fail because of little stuff like that. Just little bits where you didn't take time to clean, or somebody put too much silicone on it, or something bizarre like that is really what happens when these engines fail constantly. So I don't have another water pump seal for this. Normally I would put a water pump in it. I thought I did have one. guess I don't, and I am crazy, but I do have the main seal though. I always change out the crank seals if I can, especially if they're not feeling too hot. That actually feels pretty dang good. But the bad part is if this seal were to fail, I mean, you're gonna have oil all around your stator. It's just not gonna be good. And if this seal fails, you're gonna have coolant and water mixing. So, and this is the biggest part of this seal on this motor. This part is very important too. It's actually 3 parts. So you got this part that sits like this, a seal on the back side and here. I just want to make sure we keep the oil out on this shaft. Keep the oil where the oil needs to be. So I'm just going to pop a screwdriver in here. Remember, you got a seal under it, so just go a little shallow. Just ease up on it. It doesn't take much to get that seal out, as you can tell there. Grab your little piece of napkin. Make sure it's nice and clean in there. Don't want any little piece of junk making a seal fail. You just take a little bit of oil. Just a little bit, make it just a little slick. And I actually just want to push this one in by hand. This is an important seal. Just gonna push that so we're flush with that. And that's all we got to do there. We need to keep this guy, he's important. On this crank seal here, we're just gonna flip her over. We get in here, grab our hammer. Alright, just pop it out. Seal only goes one way, as you can tell. See? We'll take our new seal and do the same exact thing. Just gonna dry a little oil on it. These seals like so. You want to be slick going in. You don't want it to be crazy. Yeah, be nice and slick, nice and easy for it to go in. Right size. I have a seal driving kit, but I'm actually, since it's pretty close to this, I'm just going to hit this in like so. Guys, you can do this with a big socket. I think a seal driving kit is probably your best bet. You can hear once it seats how that sound changes, how it gets louder, and then you can look up on this side, see how it's right flush with it. Now right there, I don't like that, so I'm going to take and tap it one more time and make sure I hear my sound. Yep. That deep sound. Not there. There we go. Yep. So we're there. Our seal's good. Seal's in. Fresh, nice. We're going to wash this thing off, blow it dry. Take it off. Alright, so remember guys, this is going to be a sealing surface here. We're going to hit that with your silicone gray RTV gasket maker there. That's what we're looking for. So we're going to wipe this down with brake cleaner on a rag. Just want to make sure there's nothing on that surface. And since we just did this side, we're just going to double check, make sure we didn't spill any oil down there, right? That oil is not going to allow that stuff that adhesion correctly. So we don't want that to happen. Flip this over. I'm going to start on this side. I'm going to do heavier here and lighter there. I do like to do on both sides, just so it's kind of like when you do tile, you know. I don't know if you guys are into that kind of thing. So we are about to put cover on there. Like I say, just give it a good dose on each side. Make sure there's no oil on it. Make sure she looks pretty to you. And then you're gonna slide her. Watch the Woodruff key on the crank. Don't force it, just slide it on. love tap. Both sides. There she is. They look good and sealed all the way around. So now we need to go ahead and put a couple of bolts in that. So there's 4 one outside bolts that you can put in it. There's 2 here, and then there's 2 there, then the rest of them bolt through to put the covers on. Where? Looks interior-esque. Maybe it's these 2. Maybe that guy. Anyways, so normally there's a bracket that goes under this. I'm gonna put on, guys. Just hang tight with me. Again, I'm not torquing this down. I'm just pulling it up tight. That way, this is on the lowest setting. It's like 20 foot-pounds. It's not much, but that way it can pull up, start that seal process, and not get jacked up, which is what we're looking for. So I've got 2 of these. You can see how the rubber starts to wear, like so. And if you're ever wondering which way it goes, if you look at this, you'll see these marks on there, and then if you look at the back of your water pump wheel, you'll see the marks. So you'll know the rubber side goes to that. The porcelain side goes in, like so. And that's another reason I replaced this water pump, because that seal rides on that shaft right there, and you need to make sure that it's doing like it should. And a washer, a nut. This is a lock nut, doesn't have to go crazy. You can tighten that nut down too tight, so be aware of that. It is also a 13mm. So what I do, I go to tighten it down, and as you tighten, you will push it in against that spring-loaded seal. This guy, spring-loaded seal, and you'll start feeling it, and you're going to start moving the crank. Well, by the time you get to that point, you've already made it to the lock nut. So when I get there, I just give it a little bit more. That way, I don't have too much. That feels a little tight. Yeah, I think we're good there. Okay, it'll work. Yeah, as long as you got that lock nut on, you're seeing a little bit of thread, you're good to go. You got it. It's already compressed. It's fine. Now let's get our magneto on. This one also had to be changed on this one. And then we only got 3 bolts we need to line up here. And you can move it around. You can feel there's only that much room for it to move. So I'm gonna move that in a little bit. Line that up on the case. Rotate it till my bolt holes line up. I've got 3 bolts here. And I'm going to put blue Loctite on. If they had Loctite on coming out, they're getting it going back in. I think these are 6mm. Maybe not. Loctite came off that one. That guy right there. Let's see if they're 5s or 6s. They're 5s. Very sorry. Same thing here. Not crazy tight. Doesn't need to be crazy tight. be good and hand snug, not crazy tight. It just pulls up smooth, super simple. We gotta take this guy. Oh, nope, need to go. That there. Sorry about the rain, guys. Not much I can do about that. So that bolt we're going to pull back out. We got to cut our keeper plate in there. So I get this trash out of the way. 10. Pop that 10 back out. Yep. Maybe our keeper plate goes like, not like that. This maybe. I do not want to go in there. Maybe it does go like this. It does go like that. Okay. Got her upside down. Slide your tins in. Get something with a clean head on it, you know. You don't want anything dirty, nasty. I mean, it's not going to be in the oil or anything. Still, no reason. Put that on. Make sure that's good and flush. See how that holds that wire down so it doesn't get caught. And the magneto. I mean the flywheel. We're going to get this good and hand tight. Make sure this case stays on really firmly. We don't want to break anything off. We don't want it loose either. Alright, next step. My starter Bendix is a little wore out on the edge where it's just been used over the years. So I got a new one. Remember, always keep your old parts. You never know. See, like right here, this thing doesn't have the washer it's supposed to have on it. On either side. Throw the old one over there. New one on here. A new washer on the front. Slides on perfect. Slide her in there. Very nice. She grabs and loosens, you know, opens up and closes perfect. That's what we want. Next thing's next, double check your flywheel key. Give her a good tap, make sure she's seated. And then you gotta double check for your flywheel. I got this on. What you can do is line your flywheel up, roll that down, stick you a smooth rod through smooth rod through both rod eyes, and then torque against that. It's kind of a two-handed process, so I do that on the camera. Make sure your Bendix is in before you put this thing on and get this guy torqued down. So next, check your cover. I always put a little thin bead of silicone in there because you really just don't want water and stuff in there. It's not going to kill anything. It's not really going to hurt anything. If it does happen, you know, it's not going to get in the oil or anything, or it shouldn't. But it's probably best practice to do it that way. And then we got to line our starter Bendix up. Really need to cock this guy up. That way, where our wires to hit here. Line that guy up like so. And then we start putting our screws in here. Not really lining up like I want to. Alright, good. Alright guys, the rain's cleared up and we are back. We're about to get this top end put together. Get the top end slapped on here. Get the head on. Get the rocker assembly on. Get everything torqued down. And then this bad girl will be ready to go home. Before we finish, we will prime the system though, so you guys can see that. I'll have to run and get an oil filter because I totally forgot about that, but no issue. So let's get this top end together. So for those of you that want to know, this top end, in the top end, the cylinder, besides, well, the cylinder is different in the bore is different on a 700 to an 800 and a 600. 600s are really rare. We're really talking about 800s here. The 800 is just a touch different on size. It's just the bore is just a little bit bigger, and then on the 700, the piston shape is a little bit different. So these pistons are taller. The cutout is a little bit different of them. Like you can't, you know, of course, and also the wrist pin size is much bigger, and it's the piston cutout is much deeper on the 700s than it is on the 800s. Other than that though, everything is just about the same. So just to walk you through what's going on here, each one of these pistons has 3 grooves at the top of it. The bottom lives the oil rings. That's the squiggly ring, and then there's a small ring that goes on top and the bottom of it. The squiggly ring goes in first. The second ring is a scraper ring. It's usually a black carbon looking ring. And it has really hard edges to it. And then you have your leading ring up top. So the split in these rings needs to be set to a certain degree. You can find that in your manual. Usually they're like 30 to 40 degrees apart from each other. That way the gaps aren't overlapping. So pretty much what I'm doing here is I'm doing it on the first piston, and then we move on to the second piston. And this thing, it gave me a little bit of trouble. Definitely, here's me spouting some words, but probably saying the same thing. But what's going on here is the best way to do this is to not put the pistons on the rod first and then try to drop the cylinder on, because you have 2 at the same time. You need to flip that cylinder upside down, put your inside keeper pins in, and then you're going to slide the piston inside the cylinder. Right now I'm fighting with those keeper rings. They were really tough on this one. They didn't have a right angle piece on there to make it easy to grab. So once you get that in, you're going to slide the piston in. And guys, take your time on this part. The big thing about this is if you push too hard, you can bend or crack the rings, and that's just, you know, you're gonna have to wait on more parts. And so really you got to have patience here. This is definitely the worst part of an engine build, especially a small engine build. On larger engines, it's a lot easier. Usually you'll have a piston ring compressor sleeve, so pretty much that's almost like you take your hand and grab the outside of the piston and wrap those rings together and you compress them. That's pretty much what it does, and then you kind of just pop the piston down into the cylinder. On these, you really can't do that. As you'll see here, I'm going to have to do it by hand, so it's not the easiest thing to do. So give yourself some grace. It will take a little while for you to be able to get it. I've done this a bunch, and this one definitely gave me trouble. So just take it slow, and you'll be able to get it. So right now I'm making sure that my keeper that I put in, only put it on one side of the piston. The wrist pin keeper is toward the inside, because you're not going to have room to get into the inside of those 2 pistons once they're set. And once you get those pistons set, you also want to make sure that they are even and level. That way, whenever, you know, because your rods are even and level, so that way when you set the cylinder on there, they're going to be automatically aligned to make it easy on you.
So this is what I was talking about. I'm checking up and down, checking in and out. I mean, I think I actually got this one set, and then I was checking to make sure it was right, and I pulled it right back out. And another thing, once you get those pistons in, like I've got that one there, you can see me picking up and pushing down. What I'm doing is trying to push. You should have consistent, smooth pressure on that, where those springs are pressing out against the cylinder wall. If you press down on it, it should be smooth. It shouldn't be any catching. Even though I kind of popped it in there, that's what I was checking for, to make sure I didn't bend that ring or have the ring come out of the groove, because what can happen is the ring will slide out of the groove, and you're literally forcing the ring between the piston and the piston wall, and you're going to scar the wall up. You're going to break the ring. It's going to be terrible. So like I say, guys, take your time, grab you a pick. You know, I kind of put the piston in towards the side, like side load it. And then usually the oil rings are the only ones that really give you trouble trying to get it in there, because they are so much smaller, especially on these smaller pistons. They're hair thin, it feels like. So just take your time. You'll see here I have to try multiple times to get the second piston in. But the good thing about this is once you have the two pistons set, as long as you're careful, it should be pretty easy getting it in from there. One thing to remember, guys, when you're at this stage is your base gasket and your dowel pins. Remember, there's going to be two dowel pins caddy cornered on the top of the cylinder base. And don't make sure you put your both your dowel pins and your cylinder base gasket on first. You see here, I've got them set. I'm getting ready to set it. I'm going to wipe off the bottom of the cylinder with a little brake cleaner on a rag to make sure there's no oil in there, just so we have a really good seal and we don't soak that base gasket with oil. I'm doing the same thing on the cylinder, the base cylinder itself. There we go. Make sure your gasket's on correct. Don't worry about those lifters yet. It's not time for that. They will come next. You can drop the lifters through the cylinder on this. So, got the thumbs up. Got our wrist pins nice and oiled up. So I'm going to hold that cylinder, guide that wrist pin in, make sure it's all the way flush, all the way through the side. And see, this is where it helps. If your pistons were out of line, you wouldn't be able to slide it in that easy. And then definitely, I think I mentioned this here, make sure that you lay a napkin across the case, because if that keeper, if you get it under tension and get it halfway in and it springs out and flies into the bottom of that case, you are really, really not going to like it. I've been there and been fishing with a magnet for hours trying to get one of those out. And guys, there's no right way, it seems. If somebody knows, you could definitely tell me. I would love to know. But it seems like there's no right way to put these C-clips in. I mean, they're just a pain either way. So the best thing you can do is just take your time. Again, be patient. Once you get these on and you get that cylinder down to the base, you have got the hard part over with. The rest of this is cake, and this goes for most engines, guys. Once you know what you're looking for and you know what not to break and you know to take your time and be patient, that's all you got to do. So we're going to put this last pin in here. Thank the Lord, say a little prayer. I want to make sure we don't pinch that gasket. I just like to pop it down with my hand, and then we're good and flush, and there we go.
Your old cylinder, because you got two dowel pins in it that you 100% need. Also, anytime you rebuild one of these, always replace the lifters. Just buy a new set. Can't tell you how many times these things are notorious for lifters going bad in them. A new set is literally like 30 bucks. Just buy them. Just buy a set. Get you a little oil can like this. You can soak these overnight. I don't. They have a hole in the side of them right there. Comes out the top. What you do is just hold real hard to that side, and you just fill it up with oil. and you're just bleeding off. You gotta go real slow, otherwise it'll just blow right back out the side of the lifter. Now just slowly pump the oil in, and when they're full of oil, like so, I know that lifter is bled. I let some spill out the top, then I drop it in where it needs to go. Also, need to pour some in there where the lifters are about to slide into. Probably pretty smart. You can also do it with a magnet. That way, you can push it all the way down, and you can move it back and forth with the magnet as well. Just put another one down. Same thing, go through the side hole, and we're pushing. I can hear, you can literally hear the air coming out of it. You can also see it. Once it's full of oil, looks good to me. Little squirt. You're gonna have oil everywhere on your hands after this, so be prepared. Push down. She's good to go. Next guy. Repeat the process. Same thing. Filling her up. Got your oily hand already. Drop it in. Let it find its home. Send it home. That's it. That's where she's gonna live now. It's her new home. Same thing here. Find the hole on the side. Sometimes you really have to push. Depends on how the lifter is. Like this one's being a pain. And like so, as I'm pushing on the side, it doesn't want to go up at all. So I'm gonna go to the top. I'm gonna try to push oil into it and see if it'll blow out. So now it's kind of full of oil. I'm gonna try back again through the side. No air bubbles are coming out. So, and it's when I push down, it's hard. So I don't know if that one was just pre-lubed fully or what. But that will work for me. We're gonna push it all the way down. Send them bad boys home. All right, guys, we're back. So, top end's on. Next, dowel pins. Very important. We'll lay them in there. We're gonna hit our brake cleaner again. Brake cleaner on a rag. We're gonna get all that excess oil off that we just put up there from those lifters. Make sure none's seeping out. We just want to make sure we're really nice and clean. All right. Check our head gasket next. Make sure she's good and clean. Slide that down there. Make sure you've tested your head. Make sure your valves and all are good in case they need to be lapped in or something along those lines. And this one does not. I checked it. It is good to go. It needs to be blown out a little bit here. To set the head on, get her one last look. Still don't like that. Now she's good and dry. Head is on. So now we will set our head bolts on. These head bolts aren't perfect. Somebody's putting some stuff on them. Must have been where they was originally put together. I don't really care for that though. I don't really know what that is they put on there. It looks like some kind of grease. I like oil on mine. So that's what I'm gonna do. Put a drop of oil on them. And drop them in place. Send them home. Gonna get the big part of that off. Put a little drop of oil on them. Send them home. And continue that for all 6 of these guys. I think 6, somewhere around there. And that way, we really want to get a true torque on these. These have a weird torque sequence too. It's like 35 foot-pounds, and then I think one more step, and then like 90 degrees. I really hate it when it's degrees. I like going to a solid number. I guess that's just the OCD in my brain, but I'll do it. Gotta do what you gotta do. But they are tight. They are tight for sure. So I'm gonna start from the middle two. Hit these 35s. And then I'll go 90 degrees on each one. See you in a sec. Alright guys, we're all torqued to spec here. Now, we're gonna clean these off, put our push rods in, and then we're gonna throw our rockers on, close this thing up, then prime it up. So just look down in there, make sure that your rod goes in the top of your actual follower. Cam follower. I would check it with a light. I totally missed that one. And that one. There you go. Once they're in there, you don't want them to come out. So these rockers, I left them in the sequence that they were taken out of. They've already got oily residue on them, so I'm just leaving them as they are. So I'm going to line up here, line up the short end, and then I'm going to start tightening it down. This is a 10mm bolt, and can you guess how many foot-pounds these have to be torqued to? 22, yeah, that's right, 22. It's the good thing about this motor. Everything's 22 foot-pounds. So that makes it easy. You're just gonna make sure that that lines up right in the middle, that that's in the right spot. And you'll be able to tell as you're tightening up to make sure it remember guys, this thing is not tight. Not going down tight at all. I do not recommend torquing this with an impact. I'm just running them down. Take that. This will set to 22 foot-pounds. Good there. There. Good there. Back this guy back off to his home setting of 10 foot-pounds where this one stays. And then we can put this head cover on. As this one actually is protruding really well. So I'm gonna leave it like that. I'm not gonna put any on there because it may need it in the future. For whatever reason, I may need to take that off. So I'm just gonna put it right back on like it was. Starter bolts, where are those? Fantastic question. There we go. About perfectly lined up there. And the last thing will be to put this guy in. And boys and girls, we have us a put together engine. I've got another boot for the front here. Exhaust gasket and all is over that way. So I'll put that in when I go to put the engine in. For now, we're good. I want to show you one more thing before we end. So, I don't have my oil filter, but I'm going to go ahead and show you guys anyways. Normally, you'll have your oil filter, like you normally do. Fill your oil filter up with oil, and then, you know, pull your engine out of this way, screw your oil filter on. And then I was talking about earlier, I was talking about priming the system. So once you have this on, you have nowhere for the oil to go. This is a 1/4 inch plug. Rotate that engine back, set it like so, where this is at a high point. Take a 1/4 inch Allen wrench, pull it out, take your oil pump. This is just a tube in there. Fill that tube full of oil. It'll fill, it'll drain, it'll fill, it'll drain. If it drains after 2 or 3 times, you're good, you're fine. Try to fill it as best you can. Put some pipe tape back or pipe dope back on that plug. Put that plug back in before you put that motor in. And then once the motor's in the engine, in the machine, then fill it up with oil to your correct level. And your startup will be way quicker and you won't hurt anything. So, all right guys, that's about it for the Polaris Ranger 700, 800 rebuild. Like I say, there's a few differences in these things. The head's a little bit shaped different. The valve cover's a little bit different. Crank's a little bit different. There's small things. Camshaft's a little bit different, but a camshaft out of an 800 will go in a 700. They'll work back and forth. Yeah, so a lot of similarities here. Mostly the same engine. So good luck on your rebuild, guys, and stick around for more. See you guys soon.